I know that we just left off with Locke and Edmund in a sort of a standoff with the Farlord. So that's where we're going to pick up. So the Farlord sort of like snarls and makes his way to you and says, "I don't like to play games," as he like sort of like hunkers down and like his broad shoulders like seem impossibly large given his stature, as he sort of like clomps towards you, and Bell like basically his arms droop and he's now lying completely motionless as the giant is next to the fiery grass. So the Farlord is hunkering down and moving toward the two of you guys. What do you do?
I draw my rapier, and I take a defensive dueling stance.
Okay. Locke, do you take any action?
I'm going to post up next to him so that I can possibly flank when he is in range.
Okay.
I mean, do we see anything?
No, you guys are...
What are we doing?
The last thing that happened with Maeve and Kalt was Kalt handed you a box of tinder and told you to burn the entire village and kill everyone inside of it.
I think the words were, "Have fun, child."
Have fun.
It was
go play.
Yeah.
Go play. You're going to be a great parent one day, Kalt. Little bone daddy. Oop, nope, not saying that word again.
Little bone daddy.
Nope.
Sounds like a jazz musician.
All right. So I think my plan would be to meander towards the rest of the people, but if there is a house particularly close by, I would try and set it on fire.
There is a house particularly close by. It's the house that Bait went into following the big muscular fella before he ran out the back.
Set it on fire.
It's a two-story wooden house. You walk... Oh, okay. So, Kalt, you just walk up...
I'm just kind of following it, just like super nervous with all the fire around.
Okay, totally fair. So you see, from your position, basically, your head is at about the waist of this very scary-looking gentleman. Can you give me the best visual description of Kalt? I still don't have like a great sense of what Kalt looks like.
So overarching, he'd be wearing like his robes would be black, but they would be like stained a gray just from all the sweat and stuff. His shield is painted black, but it's obviously like wasn't always that way. It's got some like scratches and dings and stuff. He has a it's called a sicklu or whatever, but it's basically a long hefted handled but short spear type of thing that he uses like as a walking stick, and it seems to be made out of bone. He's got a big old gray long bushy beard and really scraggly black oily gray hair. He looks very old. Maybe, but like middle-aged but old, like real rough on years. He's got maybe darker tan skin. His eyes are just like black as stones.
Holy cow. And Maeve, what do you think? I know that I described you as wearing something like almost kind of like a little nightgown shirt, like a flowy shirt. That's always kind of what I've imagined. But what about Maeve? What's she look like standing here in the firelight?
So, she's pretty short, kind of slightly reddish skin from her tiefling heritage, and very small horns, that are still kind of, they're growing. And she's kind of scared, a little nervous about fire just because of her past of her foster parents tragically perishing.
And you've had no like inclination to share that past with anyone around you. I know it's only been like
no one's asked.
A few minutes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's totally fair. So you're sort of like pretty scared as you see this tattered, worn old man next to you, like sort of like snickering with delight as he strikes against the tinder box and tosses the flaming just match, that's the only word that's coming to mind, into the building, into the house in front of you, and it basically brushes against like some furry carpets, and the blaze picks up quickly in some places but then doesn't spread, but the light is already like shining out of the building. I'd say that as he sort of like cackles at the growing fire, you do hear like the windows break in the building as the heat builds and as the chaos ensues around it. And Maeve, you're obviously very scared. What do you do?
I am going to cast Minor Illusion to make a sound, kind of like a siren, like a wee woo wee woo.
Danger's
You know,
That's,
it's like
Danger.
it's like a warning kind of thing.
Yeah, the spirits reach out to you and say, like, that's not really up to safety fire code when it comes to alarming people. No, the, so you sound the alarm, and, like, Kalt, I think that you would have noticed, like, with all the people running around the village, especially going to attack Bell, like, you would have thought, like, oh, everybody's going to attack Bell. But you start to see, like, a bit more movement on the periphery, not just from inside the shantytown, but also up on the cliffs that line the giant hill leading down into the ocean. So there's kind of a lot of people kicking around. So I know you said, like, kill everybody, but I don't think you had really an idea of how many people live here on Farpoint.
I look, as I see all the movement, I look down at the girls like, we have our work cut out for us, child. Do I hear any of the commotion of the fight that's happening up there?
I don't think that you hear it, like, with any clarity, just because, again, you're right next to, like, you have already set one building on fire, you've now set another. I think that, like, the sound of that is definitely overcoming just the scuffle right around the corner.
Yeah, that when I wouldn't stand around and watch it blaze, really. I would just kind of, like, start light fires, making... not even really, and then I'm just moving to the next one. I'm still trying to look for people, but I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, so I think as you're doing that is maybe when Maeve sets off the alarm, and when you say you have your work cut out for us, even the wooden platform by that sand pit is now ablaze. The giant overturned boat off to the side, that, like, the most massive single piece of woodwork here, I think that is just, like, a tantalizing invitation of destruction for you.
Is that towards my friends where I think they've gone, or is that
no?
away?
It's in the opposite direction. It's across the village square.
Boy.
So I mean, like, you obviously tell me what you're doing, but these are where the houses are. The action that you're looking for is not where your friends are.
I wouldn't deviate. I don't think I would deviate away from them.
Mm-hmm.
This would just be something I'm doing while I'm checking in. Or, like, I mean, I don't have a super, like, big connection to these people, but they are the only allies I have in this town, so I wouldn't try to, like, run away from them by any means.
All right, I think that's fair. So, okay, well then how about this? Instead of going around just lighting all the different buildings on fire, let's say that you, with Maeve by your side, you throw the match into the two-story building with the canopies on and the metal overhangs, and as it starts to, like, catch a blaze, again, it's wood. It's not going to catch on fire immediately. So you start to walk around the building to the other side, and you continue to light small pieces of tinder on fire and, like, crash them through the glass. And as you come around the side there, behind you is where the standoff between the orc and Locke and Edmund is taking place. So Edmund has drawn his rapier, and Locke, you're sort of, like, standing off to his side, prepared to sort of to tag team the biggin. I just really need to choose better words. I'm such a fucking masterful crafter of Dungeons and Dragons language. Thank God I'm not going to be DMing most of this. So what you see bearing down on you is this orc that seems to be almost growing larger with every step. Like, he's just, the closer you get to him, the bigger he seems to be, and it's just totally throwing you off. And as the Farlord sort of snarls at you, he's like, "Farpoint is Barklock's territory, and I say that you need to leave. Do I have to make you?" He sort of cracks his knuckles and continues to move, not breaking his gait, not moving quickly, just very menacingly.
Wait, he's just gonna let us leave?
No, he's just trying to banter. He's probably not very good at it for reasons not related to my ability to banter.
So I followed Colt, right?
Yeah, you followed Kalt.
That's what I would have done.
Yep,
How far
you'd
away
follow.
do you think we are from them now?
You are probably about, like, 15 feet away from them, and they are in turn 15 feet away from Barklock.
Okay.
This is all a pretty small area.
If I could, I would roll out a Toll the Dead as he approached.
Okay, what are the details on that?
You gotta roll a Wisdom save.
Okay, gotcha.
13.
Okay. Nat 20.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Yep. So the Farlord once again sort of shakes off any advances. And as he gets closer, he doesn't have any weapons in his hand as of yet. He has some on his back, and he reaches his arm up. He doesn't actually grab the weapon. He grabs the arrow out of his chest that Edmund loosed at him only moments ago, and he yanks it out as the blood spatters off his chest and lands on the ground. He flips the arrow around so that it's facing outward as though he can swing his arm downward and stab at you guys, and he basically runs in to make an attack. Do you guys take any sort of action before I do that?
I would like to cast Mage Armor on myself.
Okay, cool. So what does that what does that end up adding to your character?
13 plus my Dex modifier, so my AC is now 16. And nothing happened with wild magic.
Okay, nothing happened. Edmund, you're the most directly in the line of Farlord, so he's actually going to bring the arrow down at you, and he's going to make an attack roll. Oof, that definitely doesn't hit. He basically, what Barklock does is he takes the arrow and he kind of throws it at you like a dart, but you, I think with your rapier, here, actually I'm just curious, make a dex save for me.
Sure. 11 plus 4, 15.
So with that, I'd say that as the arrow comes at your face, you sort of, like Princess Bride style manage, you just like, whooshing, like whip your rapier around and sort of deflect it right out of the way.
Cool. How many arrows was that? Like 12?
It was just the one. He pulled the arrow out of his chest that you shot at him, and he threw it back at you.
Yeah. It works better from a bow, dear boy.
All right. So the Farlord continues to charge at you. I'm going to say, as he bounds in on you and lifts his fists up in the air, preparing to try to, looks as almost like he's going to hit both Locke and Edmund at the same time. Basically, a quick blur moves very briskly past the both of you and launches into Barklock, and he goes staggering backwards and takes a backward somersault across the ground. And then as he starts to get up, from behind him, a gangly figure pokes his head up, and Bait screams, "I didn't do that for no reason! Are you gonna get out of here or what?"
I rush past Barklock, and I'm gonna run over to Bell and try to heal him.
Okay. So you do that. Why don't you go ahead and actually, as you get over to Bell, you prepare your spell and you bring your hands you bring your hands up to his face as you begin to try to heal him, but you notice that there's no more breath coming from his body, and you notice that actually there's a gash along his head, and you can see like exposed bone as blood begins to drip down his head and onto the ground beside him. As far as you can tell, Bell has been killed by Barklock.
Is he okay?
He's just sleeping. I'm gonna continue to engage with this Far bastard, Lord Farquaad.
Yeah, should we roll initiative or?
Well, I want to ask, what do you guys want to do?
I mean, I'm probably gonna start beating up on this bitch too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty pissed. I want to kill him.
I want an opportunity to claim Bell's skull, so the Farlord's in the way.
All right. All right, that's totally fair. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's roll for initiative.
+1 to initiative.
Oh.
Hey, 19.
Oh.
Hey, I got a 19 as well.
21.
17 plus 4, 21.
Okay, cool. So first step in the initiative order is Farlord Barklock. He rolled a nat 20 and has a pretty good dexterity. So, Edmund, as you stand in front of the hulking orc, he moves towards you. Now, you've already done a bit of damage to him, but he steps forward, and he draws off of his back. He draws a very large scimitar, and it's sort of like you can hear the shing of it as it glides against the metal on his studded leather carapace, and pulls it out and tries to bring it down upon you. Yeah, that is a 19 plus 5. That's a 24. Does that hit?
Yeah, I think that'll do it.
Yep, that should definitely do it. So with that, we got 1, these things, so 3. Oh, that's max damage. So you take 9 slashing damage as the scimitar is brought down upon you. You try to deflect it with the base of your bow, but the scimitar manages to still like graze down your arm. So you lose a bit of skin, and blood sort of spurts across as this like impossibly quick sword stroke comes down at you. So it is now your turn. What do you do?
I am going to stab this dude with the pointy end.
Cool. Okay.
15 plus 8.
That hits.
Okay. So he takes 1d8 plus 6 points of damage. Ooh, 6 plus 6, 12 points of piercing damage.
Okay, cool. So you bring your rapier down onto Barklock right after he has just basically landed his sword in your arm, and you manage to sink your sword into his shoulder right next to where the arrow had pierced, digging in on the wound you have already created. He yelps and lurches backwards just a few feet. Locke, you are now closest to him and next in the combat order. What do you do?
I'm gonna try to maul this bitch. Crit fail! Woo!
Cool. So it turns out...
Wait. I have great weapon fighting, and I believe that means I get to re-roll 1s and 2s, but I have to use the second result.
I think it's 1s and 2s. It's 1s and 2s on your damage dice.
I'm pretty sure it's attack.
No, it's damage.
The thrilling research of Dungeons and Dragons that makes
Fuck
the game what it is.
I have rolled 4 crit fails tonight.
You're just getting him out of the way early.
I'm going to say that, like, when you actually swing them all around, it kind of, like, gets stuck in the ground because you swing with so much force and you whiff it with such joie de vivre that you have to sort of, like, pull it out of the ground. I'll just deduct that from your movement next turn.
Well, I mean, can I action surge, use my move this turn, pull it out, and attack again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you
Okay.
got action surge, fucking go for it.
Jesus Christ, Pat. I feel so bad.
Come on, Pat. I want you to get a good roll. I love you, buddy.
Alright, I got a fucking 15 plus 5.
15 plus 5, that hits. You bring it around. Why don't you roll that damage for me, big boy?
2d6, I got a 3 plus 5, so 11 damage.
So you bring them all around, and it basically connects directly with his chest. He just turned around to face you after the recoil from fighting Edmund, and as soon as he does, he is greeted with a lovely chunk of metal, giving him a big wha-dunk, and he takes the damage as he staggers backwards again. He sort of lost all his momentum as he sort of like volleyed back and forth between the two of you. Maeve, you with your additional armor. Maeve, you are up next. What do you do?
I want to help as much as I can. I'm going to cast Enlarge Reduce on him. Yeah. Make a
What happens when you reduce?
make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Okay.
You got another nat 20.
Oh no, my friend. That is a critical failure for Farlord
At
Barklock.
least I'm not the only one. God damn.
Hello, and welcome back to Dice Populi, a tabletop role-playing anthology series. That's a lot of words in that title. We've got a bit of a titles problem, but I'll get to that in just a moment. First, I just want to say thank you for listening to Escape from Farpoint. This is the third part of that story and the last part of that story. We're going to be moving on to some new stuff next week. So this breakaway, I don't want to do these every episode, only when we have stuff to say, and we have got some stuff to say. I'm going to blow through some housekeeping and try to get you right back into this story. So first things first, Escape from Farpoint ends with this episode. Next week, there will be another episode called Above Board. Since I'm sort of running the campaign as a whole and everybody else is doing their own stories, Above Boards are going to be interlude episodes between those stories that I use to sort of tie things together. A little more character focused, leveling focused, technical maybe, less structured, and honestly, a hell of a lot of fun. They're also usually going to be a bit longer because we only record them in one session. But after Above Board, the next week we will be back with a new adventure run by Ryan Mossbarger. Yeah, the guy who plays Kalt, the creepy guy, we gave him his own story. This is probably going to be fucked up. But you can hear that in about 2 weeks. That should be on September 4th. After that, though, we don't really have the resources to make a show of this magnitude weekly. It's a lot of work, so we will be going to the first and third Wednesdays of every month. First and third Wednesdays. So if you listen through a platform, subscribing to the feed is going to be pretty helpful because you might not always remember which week it's coming back, but we are going to keep putting stuff out as much as we can. As far as episode titles, we changed things up a bit for the sake of clarity. Escape from Farpoint is 3 episodes long. But we're not putting the adventure title in the title anymore. We are putting that in the description. So if you want to see which adventure, which campaign an episode is in, that's just right in the top of the episode description. I bolded it for platforms that'll support that. But we're changing the naming convention so each episode is a chapter of Dicey Waters. So the first episode is Chapter 1, Escape from Farpoint. We're probably going to do that for adventure premieres and stuff. But Episode 2 is Chapter 2, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Get it? Because Bell... Cat! Get off the thing! Cat! Get down! Because that was my cat trying to do a bell tolling. And then this episode is, as you've seen it, Chapter 3... Chapter 3, Wrath of the Farlord. It's going to keep sneaking. I think that's 2 Star Trek references just in the titles for this. So it's going to get crazier from here. Last housekeeping thing. Because we wrapped up Escape from Farpoint, I decided to put out a PDF of the adventure. Actually, the PDF I used to run this adventure for the podcast. I cleaned it up, and it's on dicepopuli.com. If you scroll down, you can download a regular version with pictures and colors and original artwork and battle maps, and also a printer-friendly version for those of you who want to do like a little more pen and paper stuff and have it printed out. Escape from Farpoint, it's a free PDF. It's a lot of fun. It's also pretty cool for if anyone is starting out with D&D or wanting to learn to DM or how it works, they can listen to an adventure and read it. It's really helpful when you're starting out to sort of have that tool. I think it's cool. But let us know what you think. We'd love to do more of this in the future. It's going to kind of depend on what the support is and if you guys like it. dicepopuli.com. Scroll down. There it is. I think that's it for housekeeping. I just want to say thank you for those of you who are listening and rating and reviewing. It's great. We love hearing it. It makes us feel good when you say good things. It will make us feel bad when eventually you say bad things. But we want to hear you say them one way or the other. It's huge for us as we're starting out. We're a pretty small group. So if you're listening to the podcast on a platform with a rating system, use that rating system. If you like the show, if you get joy, and if you are looking forward to a new episode, that's 5 stars. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, and most of you are, you just scroll down a little bit. There it is. There's the 5-star button. It is right there. I'm really bad about it too, but I've gotten into the habit of tapping, scrolling, 5 stars. And if you don't like it that much, don't rate it. I don't know. Do whatever you want. If you really think it's a bad show, just let us know. I know we've got some audio problems, but I promise they're worked out in future recordings. But seriously, ratings and reviews go a long way to lending credibility and visibility to a show, especially when it's starting out. So if this is a thing that you want to see more of, spread the word. I know that there's a lot of real play podcasts out there. We're going to try to do some different stuff. And if it is as valuable to you as we hope it is, definitely that's a great way to support it. I think that's all I've got for now. You've all been amazing, and I really hope that you enjoy the rest of Escape from Farpoint. So let's get back to it. Enjoy the adventures.
All right. The target size is halved in all dimensions, and its weight is reduced to 1/8 of normal. It decreases your size by 1 category, so from medium to small. You have disadvantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. Your weapons also shrink, and you deal 1d4 less damage. And you can't have fun.
The hulking orc is the same size as the little girl now.
Also, wild magic happens.
Okay, what is your roll for that?
That's a 5. Didn't happen.
Okay. Wow, that is not what I was expecting. Okay, cool. Let's get this lined up.
You won small boy.
Yep. Okay. So those Farlord's like, what have you done to me? This is supposed to be my domain. You can't mess with me like this. And he begins to pound the ground, and little pathetic puffs of dirt come up. How long does this last? This is 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
God, that's so long in combat.
Come changed Lord Farlord's diaper. Come here.
Oh man, now he really is Lord Farquaad.
All right, next up in the initiative order is Kalt, the Bonemaster. The subject of your ire has now been reduced to the constitution of a small child. What do you do?
The Bonemaster. Is he looking damaged at all by all the stuff that we've been doing?
Oh
to
yeah,
him?
definitely. Like he's got like 2 stab wounds and a giant like huge scrape down his chest from where the maul hit him.
I'm gonna do a 2nd level Ray of Sickness.
Hot diggity.
That's not too bad. Does a 14 hit?
14. Wait, what does this do to his AC?
I don't think it changes his
Nothing.
AC.
Doesn't
Yeah,
change.
then no. 14 does not affect him.
All right, well then, yeah, that's all I got.
Disadvantage on like anything strength related though.
Gotcha. Okay. So at this point, Bait would be next in the combat order, but in getting knocked over by Barclock, he's basically just standing up and like trying to get back into things. So I'm actually going to kind of have him miss his turn here because like the inertia of full size Barclock is knocking such a spindly man down. I see he took a little bit of damage from that. I'll sort that out in a minute. So we're actually back to the top of the order, and it is Barclock's turn once again. So, oh god, this is just so choice right now. I love this. So Barclock basically, Maeve, he looks at you and identifies you as the source of his latest humiliation, and his eyes start to like twitch with anger as he reaches his hand out, and I wrote Firebolt down. That's just a ranged attack,
It is a
right?
ranged spell attack, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. Okay, cool. So he's going to cast Firebolt at you. He extends his hand, his tiny itty little baby hand, and throws at you. I'm gonna say a 12 doesn't hit.
It does not hit.
12 does not hit. So he basically casts the fire at you, but you can tell that in his diminutive stature, he's not really used to like the lack of inertia for being like 1/8.
Curses! I've missed again!
So he throws the firebolt and it misses. Now I will say this: he's 1/8 of his weight, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, he hasn't used his movement. So basically, he looks at his hands and screams in frustration, and he tries to jump to get away from you guys. And at 1/8 of his weight, with the strength that he has, he goes straight up and lands on the building.
But he has
on the edge.
disadvantage on strength checks and saving throws. It means he's a little weaker than he should be.
Okay, then here, tell me what. I'll roll a strength check. Kalt, you roll against me. I'm gonna have your die be the DC for the strength check. Add your strength modifier.
That's a good idea, but sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, instead of me setting a DC for myself, I want some sort of fairness here. So I'm gonna roll a strength check to see if Barclock can jump up into the tower.
I rolled a 14.
Plus anything?
I don't know. You're asking me to add my strength?
No, just set that as a DC. I get disadvantage on this, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Because I was going to say it turns into a 13 because I have -1.
Yeah, that's what I just thought about. That was a bad idea. Okay, so yeah, with a 9, Barclock basically, he jumps up. He actually goes remarkably high in the air, but doesn't really seem to have any lateral momentum and just kind of plops right back down in the middle of you. So you have pretty much emasculated and made impotent this large orc man. as
Curse
he
these
is-
tiny little legs. I wish to go far.
So we're back up to Edmund in the combat order. So you go to attack with your bow against the minuscule Farlord Barclock. What do you get?
Yep. No, I rolled a nat 20, so it was a 6 on the damage dice, so it came out to 16.
Oh, good gravy. All right. So 16. So you hit the small boy with the arrow, and the kinetic force of this thing basically carries him back. I'm actually gonna have him roll a dex save. Let's see if he. I gotta stop rolling. I'm gonna get ones all day long. So. The Farlord is basically just carried backward and slides on his back and is now lying right between the feet of Maeve and Kalt the Bonemaster. Next up in the order is Locke. Locke, I'd say that he's gone he had to go past you to get to the other two, so he's now behind you. What do you do?
I'm gonna swing full around, so I have 180-degree wind up, and bring my maul around and try to hit him with it.
Okay, so you do just that once you roll your attack roll.
Please, dear Lord. Nat 20!
All right, cool.
About time.
Yeah, there we go. This is the climax that you all have been waiting for. All right, so little Farquaad is lying there on the ground with an arrow sticking out of his chest. He tries to get himself up and sees a giant maul coming straight for him, seeming a lot bigger than it did last time. Let's go ahead and roll damage on it.
What did we decide? It's max damage or it's roll dice and then double?
It's roll dice and double.
Roll dice double, add modifiers.
Can I re-roll a 2 with great weapon fighting?
Yeah.
Okay. So 8, 16 plus 5 is 21 damage.
Cool. So 21 damage, you bring down the maul on the little guy, and it's sort of like he almost lifelessly kind of like sinks into the ground in a small form, lying there for a short while. And he seems to be completely like unresponsive to you guys. He's not moving around anymore. He doesn't react to anything. Now, I don't know if you guys want to like, crap, I said on my leg wrong. I don't know if you guys want to like move around or anything, but like his breathing is like so slow and faint there as he reaches his arm up. He's not dead, but he is lying there in the midst of all of you. And provided none of you want to do anything, I'd say bait sort of like
Hey, mister, do you know how to get off this rock?
He does not respond.
I am prepping a Toll the Dead. If nobody else is doing anything, I am gonna gong that dead.
All right. So what does Toll the Dead do? I don't know.
He'd has to roll a wisdom save.
Oh yeah, he's not making a wisdom save right now.
So he just takes damage?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So yeah, he takes damage. That'd be a D12. Don't get to use that one often. Hey, 8 points of damage.
Woo, look at that. So with a little extra like salt in the wound, you basically cast your magics upon him as bait sort of like slowly lurks between all of you and approaches the Farlord's body, and he leans over and he's like, well, seems like after enough time, everybody gets what they want, don't they, old friend? And he sort of like slips his hand like under his belt and like kind of like just picks him,
jacking him. No,
just gets him off right there. He pulls, grabs him by the belt and like basically just holds him up, like sort of like mocking his small size, not really paying attention to the time. And as Farlord is being held in Bait's hand, after enough time passes between the spell casting and the dancing around and stuff, you each have a moment to breathe. He returns to normal size in the hand of Bait, and because he's such a big boy, kind of falls right to the ground, and Bait's arm is like yanked back downward to where Farlord's waist would be. Now, Maeve, you do notice that this actually happens a little sooner than it should. And do you think that would be alarming to you?
It would be.
So at this, you do notice that like a good like maybe like 15 seconds before you would expect him to go back to normal size, he does return to his full stature. Now, as he does so, he reaches his arm out and grabs Bait by the neck and picks him up. And basically, various like swirling lights of different colors begin to sort of swirl around him. As he does this, as this happens to him, he basically stands upright and looks at all of you, and he starts to speak. And he looks around, and he says lowly now in his real manly man voice, not his little kitty voice. He looks around, and as he's choking Bait in his hand, says,
"You're too blind to see what's happened to you. This isn't some dumping ground for your broken empire. You are the crops we harvest from your sad life. The Badlands are wrought with power the mage lords tried to hide because they are afraid."
And he squeezes his fingers more tightly around Bait's neck.
Wait, can I do something before it happens?
Before what happens?
Before you continue to do anything?
You can take an action if you want.
I will use the first level cleric spell Command, and with an unworldly timbre to my voice, stop.
Is that just like a cantrip?
No, it's a first level spell.
Do I have to make any sort of save?
Yep, you got to roll a
Wisdom save.
Wisdom save. Yeah.
Cool.
DC would be 11 because I'm not very good with cleric spells.
Let's see. That's going to be that's a 13.
Damn it.
Yep. So, no, he actually has pretty good wisdom. Sorry about that. Crap, I lost my spot. He says, "Do you?" And in response to your barking at him, he says, "And do you know what? You should be afraid. You can take my ships, kill my crew and my giants, but these oceans will spit you out. When one shipment breaks, I'll be sent another.
Consider yourselves cursed to float lifelessly among the seas. Do not return to Farpoint unless the tides fail to kill you first. You do not belong here. You will never know home again. Be gone, prisoners. Enjoy your lingering deaths. And he walks over to the edge of the cliff. As Bait is like choking in his hand, he brings Bait's face close to his own and says, "You pesky little animal. I'd hoped you never step on my back again. Keep your trophies and leave this sorry place, you miserable wretch." And with this, as Bait whimpers and pleads for his life, he is hurled into the air, screaming as his elven form fizzles away amid the dancing light of Barclock's untold power. Whatever remained of the poor soul disappears from view and splashes into the water, past the sharp rocks hundreds of feet below, and is now sparkling at what is slowly becoming the sunrise over this island. And with this, the Farlord looks at you all and vanishes before your eyes.
I sense the presence of plot armor here. I'm gonna walk over to where Bell is, and I'm gonna take out my knife, and I'm gonna start taking off his head.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk over to Maeve and like shuttle her away from this scene.
I use mending. If his skull is like partially caved in, I use
It is.
mending to kind of like fix pieces of it as
Okay,
I'm like kind of popping them back into place.
What in the actual fuck?
You are. This
You
is
don't
nothing.
see this, Maeve. You're
I know.
fine.
I know. I'm commenting as an outsider.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Josh. This is just like our other campaign. And
Everybody needs to dismember everyone, and I don't get it.
I don't get it. I really.
I'm a
don't get it.
necromancer. I collect skulls.
Okay, at least you have an excuse. Could you tell that to everybody else I play D&D with? So you managed to sever Bell's head. And I'd say that looking around the scraps of this place, you're able to find like a few bags and stuff like that, like the claws and the knapsacks, like places to put this stuff and carry it all. But even though Barclock has sort of disappeared with his inexplicable magics that don't really seem to align with what he demonstrated, you do still hear like the shuffling around of other people on some of the ancillary buildings.
Is there a torch laying down anywhere nearby?
There are torches mounted on the sides of all these buildings. If you're looking to pick one up.
I'm actually before we like move over, I'm gonna go over to Colt and I'm gonna say, "How dare you disrespect his body? We were saved by the bell."
And title.
I fucking hate this.
Oh my god.
Okay. So after that man, that I wish you had vicious mockery. That would have cut deep. So you
Saved by the
so you all sort of like regroup and gather your stuff, but some of the armed folks from the sides of the village are starting to like pour in and look over what happened. They're looking at all the dead pirates and wounded men, and like sort of like the scorch marks of the fire and of Barclock's magics as the sun begins to peek up over the cliff's edge, and everybody even seems to be like I said, there were some people coming in from on the cliff edges too. The people from the guard towers descend and move off to like they're moving over to Bell's quarters and to the living quarters that have been set ablaze as the entire shantytown burns in front of you. So you stand for the moment unopposed, but with danger mere feet away. What do you do?
Can I make a perception check just to kind of look for a way out, I guess?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
We should eliminate the witnesses.
3.
So with a 3, you don't see anything new, but you do see the gate that you noticed before, and that there is no longer anybody in the guard towers.
Okay. Guys, there's a gate over there.
And for those of you who didn't notice it, which I think would have been, I think Locke and Locke, I don't think you've ever really looked through the gate because you were kind of busy navigating the building. Maeve points out it, and
Fucking bitches up.
And now with the daylight starting to peer over, you see straight down the gate. You see through it and down the hill to docks,
Okay.
maybe about a mile and a half away.
I say let's get out of here.
I still wish to cleanse this place.
I think we've done enough cleansing for today.
Is the village burning pretty good? At this
No, the
point?
village. Yes, no, absolutely. The grass is on fire from the torches fighting Bell.
I'm not
you
a fire
set like
fan.
2 or 3 buildings.
We should
on fire.
leave.
Yeah, we've indulged
Oh.
enough of your whims for the evening, I think.
You've just begun to indulge my whims.
And that's disgusting. Okay. All right, so Locke, you're sort of the person standing at the head of the group. What do you do?
I'm walking towards the gate.
Okay. Maeve,
I'm
you've made it
following.
pretty clear that you're following close behind. Edmund, are you
Yep, we're
focusing
going
on
towards
Kalt,
that
or-
gate.
Cool. So, Kalt, everybody else seems to sort of be moving in that one little direction.
I look longingly into the fire. I put a hand out just a little bit, kind of like bring it up, and then I bring it back to my chest and I start walking away.
So you all make your way down the hill. Probably about halfway down, you're sort of hustling down. Why does that sound weird? You are moving quickly down
We're
the
making our way
down the dirt
downtown.
road.
Walking fast.
How many more ways can I say this? And the faces pass you as you descend out of the Farpoint shantytown.
And we're homebound.
So, as you guys approach the docks, you do hear rustling behind you. You start to see some of those torches be put out from a distance as the sun finally rises above the cliff's edge and shines down on Farpoint as a whole, and the shadows of the whole.
Do we see?
You see ahead of you in the docks. You see 2 large galleons, a small dinghy, and what I'd say is probably not quite. A ship that you think like looks is built to be manned by like maybe like 10 people, but it's like so much smaller than a galleon.
All right.
And all 4 of those boats are docked, but you also see a few like broken hulls on the shore.
Knowing a little bit about boats, probably being the only one that knows about boats, I usher them towards that, but I stop to set those other boats on fire.
Jesus.
If we still have torches, I just like lob torches onto the galleons.
I think that's
and
fair.
the little ones.
Fuck it. You go over to the broken hulls on the beach and you set that wood on fire and you throw those flaming wood pieces at every goddamn boat and piece of exposed dock that you find, and like this place slowly begins to set ablaze. And you hear people screaming from up the hill as they chase after you, finally realizing what's happening. As they scream like, "Oh no, we're gonna be marooned. We're stuck here!" Like they're all panicking, trying to get down here. Because you have You've now trapped them on an island with untold magical power, and nobody seems to know what to do with it.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
So Locke says his awesome catchphrase, "Let's get the fuck out of here." So the night's horrors give way to a beautiful scene, and the warm rays of the dawn in those foreign lands touch you with the grace the Empire seldom felt. The Farlord, oh shoot! Oh, I was reading the wrong paragraph. Damn, we didn't.
I
Have to
love
do that
getting
one.
touched by dawns.
Wrong one. So you guys basically
me, my
mount the
dog.
ship. This small
Gross.
ship, the small ship in which the 4 of you can fit nimbly. So as you untether yourself from the dock, why don't you guys tell me what you're doing to try to get this boat out and onto the sea?
I'm unfurling all of these sails and stuff and prepping them and getting them taut, get everything
I'm
ready.
following all of his directions.
There, over there, unleash that linchpin. Get that sail up. You know, I'm just like barking out orders and stuff.
Yep.
I'm doing my best not to vomit already.
Yeah, I'm gonna say since you're so uncomfortable with boats and with the sea, I'll have you roll a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, natural 17 plus 2, 19.
You feel a little bit of vomit come up your throat, but you manage to choke it back so no one else actually sees your little shame there. Maeve,
Yeah, I'm a tree boy.
Maeve, what do you do?
I'm just kind of in awe because this is my first time like actually seeing like boats and stuff before.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, the shape of this boat, it's maybe about 50 feet long. It's got the deck on which you guys stand, as well as a deck underneath. Not really a furnished quarters, but it's where the inside of the hull is. It's kind of where the air sits to maintain its buoyancy.
I'd like to go to the lower deck.
Cool. So you go into the lower deck and you feel sort of cozy down here. It's dark, but with a little bit of torchlight that hopefully isn't being used to set the boats
It's
ablaze.
a good thing I have dark vision.
Yes. Okay, cool. So with your dark vision, you descend into the lower decks of the boat. You see like a couple empty boxes, a couple bales of hay, and 2 barrels up against the wall. And you feel safer here than you did before. You're surrounded by water. The cool air and the sound of the tide against the hull of the ship soothes you in a way that the island has not soothed you yet. Now, you all, as Kalt unfurls the sails and the wind begins to catch it, and Locke takes the wheel of the boat, and Edmund takes whatever railing he can to stabilize himself. The rabble of Farpoint fades away as your escape is all but guaranteed. The misty tides rock you gently as you set sail to your new lives, scattered somewhere amidst the waves and the rocks that fill the horizon. What do you do?
I strap Belle's head to the front of the ship.
Awesome.
like one of those mermaids of yore. I
As
just
he's strapping him to the front of the ship, can we just try to dump him overboard real quick? See the fucker.
I'll give you make an attack roll if you want to do something like that.
Just watch your footing. No, it's fine.
All right. So as
he can't swim. No, I don't know.
as the wind pulls you away from the blazing shoreline, the 4 of you stand proudly on the deck of this vessel, setting sail into the sunrise, embarking upon a new adventure on these dicey waters.
Come and meet